In today's video, I'm going to share with you exactly how much I made in my very first month as a print-on-demand e-commerce seller. If you're anything like me, you probably love watching this video trend about how much people made from their new niche business or in their first month monetized on YouTube, maybe even how much some people make on platforms like TikTok. But the more videos that I watch from supposed fellow print-on-demand e-commerce sellers on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, the more I'm convinced that these people don't sell anything. They just make clickbaity videos without actually walking the walk, and in a lot of other cases, they aren't completely upfront and real with people. When I first started out, like I've said so many times on this channel, I had absolutely zero experience in the world of e-commerce or in print on demand. And so that is further evidence that if I can do it, anybody can do it. So without further ado, let's get into the details. So like I said, when I first started out, I really didn't have any print on demand or e-commerce or selling or marketing experience at all. But I was part of some Facebook groups with sellers who started even before I did, and we all kind of helped each other figure it out. Now, some backstory, I started selling in the print on demand space back in 2017. And at that time, I was in college getting my second bachelor's degree. And like pretty much almost every other college kid, I was always looking for ways to make a little bit of extra cash to help either pay for tuition or rent or just living expenses in general. And I remember I was on a Reddit thread one evening and I came across something called Merch by Amazon at the time, now called Merch on Demand. And the more I looked into it, I found that there seemed to be tons of other opportunities in this print on demand space. So I also looked into selling on Etsy, Redbubble, and then at the time, TeePublic and Teespring. However, a lot of people in that Facebook group that I was in at the very beginning were making an absolute killing in the Merch by Amazon space. And so I decided that that was going to be my focus from the very beginning. And also because I figured Amazon had the largest target audience. Now, when I say they were making an absolute killing, I'm talking upwards of $20,000 a month from just selling on this one single platform. And at that time, there were not very many people to compete with. And so you could throw up a very minimalistic, simple design and it would sell like hotcakes. And if you're familiar with Merch by Amazon, now rebranded to Amazon Merch on Demand, then you know that this is an application only program. So I filled out and I submitted the application and I heard back within just a few days that I was approved. I do have an entire video dedicated to walking you through the Merch on Demand application process, so I'm going to link that up above here in case you're interested. Now, in terms of my own personal story, I was accepted into the Merch by Amazon program around Q4, and so that ended up being extraordinarily helpful because you know that most print on demand sellers make the bulk of their income during the holiday Q4 season. And so during that time, I was basically focused on uploading as many designs as I possibly could because I was accepted into the program prior to the tier system even existing. And so I was allowed to upload as many designs as I wanted to. And so the second thing that I focused on was trying to find as many high quality and in-demand niches and sub-niches as possible. Again, many of these being holiday focused because I really wanted to capitalize on the holiday season. So again, low competition, high demand niches. And even back then, I was using Merch Informer to help me identify these niches. Otherwise, I would have been manually doing research on Amazon for hours and hours and hours on end, which I really didn't have time to be doing since I was in an accelerated and quite competitive college program. And honestly, this is the only research tool that I'll trust and I still use to this very day. Granted, they've grown quite a bit and they do have a ton more features now. So make sure that you're going over to Merch Informer and checking them out. Now, I've done a few videos showing exactly how to use their software. So again, I will link those up above right here. Now, in terms of graphic design, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel, that's such a personal decision. You can either make them yourself or of course you can hire it out. And I made that decision based on a few factors. And the first was that I was in college getting my second college degree and I really didn't have that much spare time in the day. And two, I had never graphically designed anything in my entire lifetime. And I really didn't think that anybody would actually want to pay me for whatever I could come up with at the time. So based on those two things, I decided to go on Upwork and I found a graphic designer that I paid $4 per design. And then once I had that item listed and eventually made a sale on it, I would actually take the time to very thoroughly analyze why that sale happened. Was it the niche that I chose to go into? Was it how I keyworded the listing? Was it the design itself? And specifically, what about the design made it stand out enough for a customer to purchase it. And then if I thought additional designs in those niches would sell, then I would have my graphic designer make me 10 or 20 more similar but different designs. I would list those. And then in essence, I was essentially competing against myself in an already proven niche. So I would say that by the end of my first month selling on the Merch by Amazon program, I had somewhere between 100 and 200 designs live. And it wasn't like it is now where you can upload 60 something variations of the same design. You basically had to painstakingly upload each item. So in saying I had 100 to 200 designs live, that was unique designs. And I knew at the time that I really wanted to, again, capitalize on that Q4 traffic. So I continued uploading, working very diligently. I kept working on my research and designs, and I really took advantage of the extra sales and traffic from Q4. And even though this ended up being a pretty time-consuming process, I knew where I wanted to go in life. I knew that there was huge potential to make a lot of money in this space. And so I continued being very diligent about using Merch Informer to do my research, have my graphic designer really stay on top of getting me new designs, and uploading a set amount every single night after school. And I ended up receiving my first print-on-demand paycheck in November of 2017 for $2,729.81. And I'll actually show you a screenshot right here of my first 8 months selling on the platform. Remember that 6 of these I was actually in school for. Again, if you know my pricing strategy, which I've talked about a few times on this channel, then you know that I always start my shirts out at $14.99. And that was true even all the way back in 2017. And I raised the price as they sell consistently, as they gain some sales momentum. And all of these sales were organic. I actually didn't have access to Amazon advertising, I think for the first year or two at least, that I was selling on the Merch on Demand platform. But I actually wanted to take the time to show you guys proof of my very first print on demand paycheck, because I hear way too often that, oh, people don't want to get started in the world of e-commerce or in print on demand because it's way too saturated. And while there are definitely more sellers in general and more competition, again, if you do your research correctly and you list really quality products, it is 100% possible to achieve numbers like I just showed you. So really focus on investing in your business, utilizing research tools like Merch Informer, BookBolt if you're selling on KDP, and Sales Samurai if you're selling on Etsy, because the better and more efficiently you perform market research, the higher your chances of success are. And make sure that you're uploading consistently. Now, Amazon hasn't come out and confirmed this, but as someone who's been selling on the Amazon platform since 2017, I can say that I do see a significant increase in sales when I am uploading on a daily, on a weekly basis. So all that to say, keep at it. There's definitely still plenty of money to be made and plenty of money to be had in the print-on-demand e-commerce space. Now, I will link all of the videos that I mentioned in the description box down below so that you can check those out. As always, feel free to follow me on my social channels right here. Ask any questions that you have in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.